On a warm afternoon inside the packed theater of America's Got Talent, the lights dimmed and the crowd buzzed with restless excitement. This stage had seen magicians vanish, dancers defy gravity, and singers chase impossible dreams. Yet no one in that room was prepared for what was about to happen when a small, shy Filipino girl stepped into the spotlight. Her dress was simple, her shoes were worn thin, and her hands trembled as she held the microphone. She looked like someone who had wandered into the wrong place, like a child who had taken a wrong turn and ended up on the biggest stage of her life. When the host asked her name, her voice was barely louder than a whisper. She introduced herself with a gentle smile and explained that she came from a fishing village in the Philippines, a place where electricity came and went, and music often came from an old radio shared by neighbors. She spoke about helping her mother sell vegetables in the morning and washing clothes by hand in the afternoon. Singing, she said, was the only time she felt like the world was quiet enough to listen to her heart. The judges listened politely, but they had heard stories like this before. Dreams were common here, but miracles were rare. Simon Cowell leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, his face calm but unreadable. He had built a career on hearing thousands of voices and knowing within seconds whether someone was special or simply hopeful. The audience waited, some smiling kindly, others already glancing at their phones, expecting another emotional story that would end in gentle applause and a polite no. Then came the question that changes everything. What will you be singing today? She took a deep breath and said the name of the song, a powerful anthem made famous by Miley Cyrus. A few people in the audience raised their eyebrows. It was a bold choice. That song demanded strength, control, and emotional fire. Even seasoned performers struggled with it. For a girl who looked like she might disappear under the stage lights, it felt almost impossible. The music started softly, and for a split second, her voice sounded thin, fragile, like glass about to crack. Simon's eyes narrowed just a little. Then something happened. On the next line, her voice opened up, rich and clear, filling the theater with a sound so unexpected that people physically leaned forward in their seats. It wasn't just loud. It was honest. It carried pain, hope, and a kind of raw truth that can't be taught. Within seconds, the audience went silent. Every cough stopped. Every whisper died. The girl closed her eyes as she sang, and it was as if the world she came from poured out through her voice. You could hear the storms that battered her village, the nights she went to sleep hungry, the mornings she woke up still believing in something better. This wasn't a child copying a pop star. This was a soul telling its story through music. Simon Cowell's posture changed. He leaned forward now, his hands slowly lowering from his chin. His expression shifted from curiosity to disbelief. This was not what he had expected. Not even close. He had heard powerful voices before, but there was something different here. Something untrained but pure, like a diamond pulled straight from the earth. As the song built toward its chorus, her voice soared. It wasn't perfect in a technical sense, but it was perfect in the way that matters most. It made people feel something deep and uncomfortable and beautiful all at once. A woman in the front row wiped tears from her eyes. Somewhere in the balcony, someone whispered, "Oh my God." Then came the twist no one saw coming. Halfway through the song, the music cut out. A technical glitch. The kind of moment that destroys auditions and crushes dreams. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The girl opened her eyes, confusion flashing across her face. For a heartbeat, it looked like everything was over. But instead of stopping, she kept singing. No music. No backing track. Just her voice echoing through the massive theater. And somehow, it sounded even bigger. Stronger. The audience erupted into applause in the middle of the song, something that almost never happens. Simon Cowell's mouth fell open slightly. He glanced toward the sound booth, then back to the stage, as if trying to understand how this moment could possibly be real. When the music finally returned, it felt almost unnecessary. She finished the song with a final note that hung in the air long after her voice faded. For a moment, there was silence. Then the entire theater exploded. People jumped to their feet, cheering, screaming, clapping until their hands hurt. It was a standing ovation, not because the story was sad, but because the talent was undeniable. The girl stood there, stunned, tears streaming down her face. She hadn't expected this. She had only hoped to sing one song on a big stage before going back home. Now, thousands of strangers were chanting her name. One by one, the judges spoke. They praised her courage, her authenticity, and the way she turned a technical disaster into the most unforgettable moment of the night. Then Simon Cowell finally spoke. The room went quiet again. He admitted that when she walked out, he had low expectations. He said he had judged her too quickly, and that rarely happens to him. He told her that her voice didn't just sound good, it told a story, and that was something no amount of money or training could buy. He ended by saying that somewhere, Miley Cyrus herself would be smiling, because this song had found a new life through a girl who truly understood its meaning. That comment alone sent shockwaves through social media. Clips of the audition spread across America overnight. People shared it with captions like "Best audition ever" and "This gave me chills." Musicians reacted. Vocal coaches analyzed her tone. Parents showed it to their children as proof that dreams don't have addresses. But the biggest twist came later, after the show aired. Reporters discovered that just weeks before the audition, a storm had destroyed her family's home. She almost didn't come to America because they couldn't afford the trip. It was her village that raised the money, holding small concerts and selling homemade food so she could chase this dream for all of them. When Simon Cowell learned this, he invited her back for a private conversation. He told her that regardless of how the competition ended, her life had already changed. Doors were opening. Opportunities were coming. And no matter what happened next, she had reminded millions of people why music matters. As the season continued, she faced tougher competition, louder stages, and higher expectations. Not every performance was perfect. There were moments when fear crept back in, when the pressure felt too heavy. But every time she sang, she carried her story with her, and America listened. By the end of her journey, she may or may not have won the trophy, but she won something far bigger. She proved that greatness can come from the smallest places, that a poor Filipino girl could stand on the biggest stage in the world and make even Simon Cowell believe again. And that is why people say Miley Cyrus would be proud. Not because the notes were flawless, but because the voice was real.